Up for this one. Let's go right to the place where the action will be. It is time for the lead block.
Lead block. Lead block.
Bengals and Browns. Thursday Night Football is out tonight at 8 Eastern only on NFL Network. And let's go to First Energy Stadium in Cleveland. Aditi, let's start with the home team. Week 2 tonight. There's already talk about chemistry issues between Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. What is going on in Cleveland?
Okay, already we have been talking about this for a year. It's not even an already situation. So look, a week ago, Odell Beckham Jr. tells us that he is finally healthy, that he feels really good. He says that he's in a better place in his life. I asked him, why should we expect a better connection between you and Baker? And he said, because I can run. Okay, so then comes Sunday. The Browns are in Baltimore, and Odell Beckham Jr. catches exactly 3 balls. His body language, not so tremendous. And afterwards, the conversation, as you said, is all about what is going on between these two. So Baker Mayfield insisted he was not forcing the ball to Odell Beckham, but it sure looked like that, especially when in one series he threw to him 6 straight times for really no net game. I asked Odell Beckham Jr., I said, are you just the type of guy who really needs to be involved early? He said, absolutely. So then I went to Kevin Stefanski and I said, is this a time where you need to be a little bit more creative? Maybe find a way to get him involved early, just so his head is a little bit more in the game. And Stefanski kind of joked, guys. He said, maybe I'll line him up at running back.
Ooh, Aditi, stick around for this conversation with the guys. You're welcome to a virtual breakfast table ahead of this one. On the other side, a very exciting rookie, Joe Burrow, and those Bengals. The Browns have won 3 of their last 4 meetings in this matchup, but I look to you, Peter. Nate, let's start with you. Is it too early to call this a must-win game situation for Cleveland?
I strongly dislike the question. Is this a must-win game? And I'm not saying it because we're asking it right now.
Sorry.
I'm saying it because every single week when I played, every reporter asked me that. And I get it. They have to ask that question. But I feel like as a player, as a leader of the team, every week is a must-win game. But Aditi, you brought up something that was perfectly placed in this conversation. When asking Stefanski about getting Odell Beckham involved, he said, maybe I'll line him up at running back. And I said this week, last week, all summer, the anchor of this offense is the running game. Stefanski came over from Minnesota, where they led the league in play-action touchdowns. They need to lean on the host of running backs. Instead of dropping back Baker Mayfield, looking for OBJ, trying to get him involved, forcing the issue, how about you run the rock? And then once those defenses start to load the box, you can take advantage of your route-running wide receivers. Yes, to answer your question, it's a must-win game. Every week is a must. If you suit up and the whistle starts and the game is on, you have to win it. What's most important is how they get their players involved. Don't force it to Odell. Start with the running game, and that will open up everything else.
Sure. I mean, look, they lost 43-13 last year to the Titans, and that set on a avalanche of just loss after loss after loss. They would have that brief win against the Ravens in week 4, and then it wasn't anything from then. Like, I don't want to be too dramatic here, but Nate, I don't think it's a silly question to say you lost 38-6 last week. If you lose at home on Thursday Night Football to the Cincinnati Bengals, who were the worst team in football last year, that sets you off on a good stage. I mean, this is an important game for the Browns. Make no doubt about it. They got the Washington football team next week. I mean, that's a defense that's going to be coming too. This could very easily go 0-3, or they could be 2-1 at the end of 3 weeks. Tonight is huge for them. Forget just the actual starting the season off 0-2. Think about the crosstown rivalry. Think about the division. You think that the Ravens and Steelers are going to be middling teams this year? This is a team you have to beat if you're going to be a playoff team. And I think the goal before we started the season wasn't to have building blocks for next year. The goal is to be a playoff team. You can't start the season 0-2 with the second one being a nationally televised loss to the worst team in football from a year ago and their rookie quarterback. Gotta win this game. I believe it.
I hear you, and please forgive my tone. I'm mad at the Browns right now because I like the Browns. Yes, it's a must-win. Last week was a must-win. Next week is a must-win. It's a must-win decade for this team. Aditi, you tweeted it yourself. In losing last week, Kevin Stefanski became the 14th straight Browns head coach to lose the opener. 14th! That's almost impossible to do. And I blame me and I blame Nate for taking the cheese again on these guys. The Browns are the boyfriend or the girlfriend who say, no, we've changed and we went to counseling. It's not going to be like that anymore. And it's the same thing right out of the gates. Interception on the first series, a missed field goal, missed extra point, one of the worst fake punts I've ever seen. It's just a full butt whipping in week one. We haven't even been 10 minutes into the season, and Stefanski's already saying, I better get the ball to Odell early so his head isn't out of the game. That's a joke. It really is. And I'm not even going to do the thing, Peter, where I do, is it a must-win? Well, let me look down the schedule and see who they have coming. I don't care. I don't care if it's the 92 Cowboys or Akron State. Just win a game. Every single second of this team's existence is about winning something that matters. Can it start tonight? Because we're waiting for it.
That's a fact.
Okay, so I feel like the mom in this situation, and I have to take both sides here. Nate is correct in saying, let's not just go out of our way here to make this into a bigger situation than it necessarily is. Let me remind you that a year ago, the Ravens were sitting at 2-2, had just suffered a significant butt kicking at the hands of this Browns team, and then rattled off 12 straight wins and was the best team in football. So when Kevin Stefanski says you really need to give a team 4 games to sort of get a sense of what it is, and yes, we do have to acknowledge the Browns haven't had a preseason, that everybody's still feeling themselves out a little bit. I think there's a fair point in that. But Kyle, I agree with you. This is one of those things that just has the sense of steamrolling. Here in Cleveland, talk radio has been calling for Baker Mayfield's head, wondering when Baker Mayfield is going to look any better already. And now they're angry at Odell Beckham Jr. and they want to trade him 1 game into the season. So if it's just for everybody's mental well-being right now, just so this city kind of steps off the ledge a little bit, then yes, against another #1 overall pick, another Heisman Trophy winner, the other team from Ohio, sure, for everybody's well-being, for everybody's sense of self, the Browns do absolutely need to play better today. And so Kyle isn't so upset.
Aditi,
because really, I don't like you this upset.
ring in.
Please, come on.
The Heat, nobody likes an upset, Kyle. Only on Angry Runs Day. Aditi, we'll see what Baker can do tonight. He's 2-5 in his career against Heisman-winning quarterbacks. We'll see how he can do that tonight. We'll, of course, give him some tips. Nate was talking about Nick Chubb and the run game. We've got all of that all day long right here on NFL Network. Aditi, I'd love to hear about the crowd, the fans, what that's going to look like tonight, so we'll have you back in a little bit. We appreciate you joining us on the celebration of Thursday Night Football. Let's switch gears and bring in Tom Pelissero. Same game, different player, not Odell, not Baker Mayfield, but Jarvis Landry's been dealing with a hip issue, I understand. What's the latest?
That's right, Kay. Browns wide receiver Jarvis Landry listed as questionable on the injury report because of a hip, but I am told that Landry is expected to play tonight against the Bengals. Remember, he had hip surgery back in early February. It's a short week here, so they held him out of practice on Tuesday, limited yesterday. I'm told that that was a precaution. Barring a setback, Landry will be good to go tonight. And that is big for a Browns offense that, as Aditi just said, is trying to get that passing game going. Could be a good night to get Nick Chubb and the running game going, too. Bengals really shorthanded along that defensive line. No Geno Atkins, no Mike Daniels. Their depth is going to be tested in this one, Kay.
And I believe they had about 4 players on their offensive line that were questionable heading into this one. So keep it here on NFL Network for all the details. Tom Pelissero.